I've made over 100K and worked with over 40 clients just in the past 12 months with my AI automation agency. And in this video, I'm going to show you step by step the exact sales process that we used to convert a lead to a paying client. I'm going to show you everything step by step. So by the end, you can implement it and start converting leads right away. With that being said, let's dive in. Okay, so the actual sales process is divided into two different types of agencies. The first one is a general customs automation agency, which is the one we were doing. The other one is actually a more productized offer agency. Now, the general custom automation agency has a 3-step sales process, and there's a very specific reason why we do that. Now, the custom automation agency, you can think of any agency that provides custom automations, which means that they help businesses to implement automation in their business. It doesn't matter whether you target the architectural sort of niche or agency niche or whatever niche, you are that person that automates different parts of their business. With that said, here you want a sales process where you are able to understand exactly what they want and be able to adhere to their needs. So the first step of this sales process is understanding exactly where they come from. So here we have ads, content, and outreach. Now for us, content and outreach were the main ones. You could also run ads. It's just a bit harder when you're doing a general custom automations agency, just because you don't have a clear offer to a clear person with a clear outcome, which makes it a bit harder to run ads. Now, one of the most important things here when you book a call is that you grab their phone number. It's for a few reasons. The first one is that if they don't show up to the actual call, you can wait 5 minutes on the call. If they're not there, then you can call them directly from your phone number saying, "Hey, John, I'm waiting here on the call. Do you happen to have the link? Is everything okay?" Just to make sure that they actually, if they have a problem with the actual link, then you can give them the link. If not, then obviously you can put them in a follow-up sequence. Now, I actually don't really follow up with leads after 2 days and 4 days and 6 days again. I would just follow up after 2, maybe even 4 days, just to make sure that if they might not be available then they might be available later on. But honestly, I mean, you could put them in a follow-up sequence, but I would just focus more time on getting new calls booked rather than optimizing whether someone shows up or not in that sense. So what I mean here is we have the input, which is ads, content, or outreach. They book a call. We have their phone number. If they don't show, then we follow up with them. Follow up, just calling them. "Hey, John, everything okay?" If they show up, then we have a discovery call. Now, discovery call is something that's quite misunderstood. This is not necessarily a sales call. It is, but it isn't. Now, because we're doing a general customs automation agency, then our discovery call framework is basically diagnosing the business and understanding the bottleneck and qualifying the client. Now, qualification usually means, do they have a problem? Do they have the budget? And do they have the urgency? So how soon are they looking to get started? Do they have the money to pay? And do they actually have some sort of problem that we can solve? Now, typically the way that I would like to start the meeting is, "Hey, John, what skill are you looking into implementing AI automations in your business?" Now, the reason we ask that open-ended question is because we want to let them sort of tell us, "Hey, we have this problem within our business that we want to automate." Now, most of the times with businesses that come to us for our agency, they come to us with no predefined exact solution or problem that they have, right? They just know, "Hey, we want to implement AI in our sales process, in our onboarding process, in this process." And they have problems, but it's very wide range of problems within their business. With that said, we're diagnosing the business. So, hey, how much do you guys make? What do you guys do? Who do you sell to? Just make sure that it's actually legit. Understanding the bottleneck. So whether it's sales, operations, marketing, onboarding, whatever it is, and qualifying the client based on the urgency as well. So how soon or how serious are they in looking to get started with you? Now, the outcome of this discovery meeting is just to decide if they want to move forward. Now, one of the biggest problems that we had early on is that after the discovery meeting, we would go directly to a proposal call. The problem with this, and by the way, the discovery meeting can be about like 20, 30 minutes max. And so with having the discovery call and then proposal call, sometimes we didn't really understand exactly what they needed because they were so vague that we want to automate different parts of the business, and we didn't really understand exactly what they wanted to automate, like step by step, which is where we started to implement something called an audit call. Now, assuming they are qualified, again, they have a problem, they have the money, and they want to get started right away, then we book them in for an audit call. Now, you might ask yourself, do we make them pay for the audit call? Initially, when you have no clients, you don't want friction in your sales process. You don't want a chance for someone to say no. Because we were booking 3 to 6 calls a day consistently from LinkedIn, then we obviously had to put friction between the discovery call and the audit call. Or obviously I couldn't do 1-hour audit calls every single day because that would be mad. And so by putting the friction, again, the friction is just a barrier between the prospect going from one place to another, the friction would be the price. Because if I put the price between the discovery call and the audit call, a lot of them will say no. But for me, that was not an issue. The issue was I was having too many calls booked. No friction at all. All my time was spent on the calls with useless prospects, with no qualification, with nothing. And so by implementing the audit call, by implementing this friction right here, it was great for us internally in our agency. Now, assuming that you are starting out and you don't really have a lot of calls booked, you still want to have the audit call. The reason we have the audit call is for a few things. The first one is that the biggest problem that you're going to have getting started with your AI automation agency and working with clients is something called scope creep. Now, scope creep is basically when the client tells you, hey, we want to automate onboarding. And they tell you a few things about their onboarding and you're like, cool, amazing. I know everything. I know the actual onboarding process. Or you think no, because you haven't actually mapped it out with them. And so you start the project and you come to find out later on that they start adding things to the project. They're like, oh, actually, we have one more step. And then we have one more step. And then we have one more step. And then you end up basically building something completely out of scope of the initial project. And so the goal here is to be able to map things out. So think of it as like you're building a house, right? The house needs a foundation to actually build it. So the house itself here would be you implementing automations in the business. That's the actual thing that we want to do. Before we do that, we have to understand, hey, what are we actually doing? What are we mapping out? And so the audit call is ideally you and the founder, because if it's a relatively small business, then there aren't that many employees. So you're going to be most likely hopping on a call with the founder. If not, you want to hop on a call with the person who knows exactly the different processes within the business. Again, the goal here is to map things out, to define scope. So they say, hey, we want to automate our onboarding process. Okay, what does that actually look like? The same way that I'm mapping things out here, step by step, you want to do it with them, step by step, right? And so when you have things defined, then you can actually have clear deliverables, timeline, and pricing, because you will only know exactly how long it takes, what does it require, and how much do you want to charge if you understand more about the actual process. And that's what the audit call allows you to do. Now, this is not a 2-week audit process where we go inside the business, we talk to all the departments in the business. This is just a 1-hour audit call. It's pretty short, right? It's just a way for us, and that can actually be 1 to 2 hours, now that I think of it. Ours or 2 hours, it wasn't 1 hour. But it's just a way for us to be able to have everything in place so that we're now able to then book the proposal call on the audit call, right? Book the call on the call to then be able to present the solution. So the actual outcome of this is to have flow charts. So they say, let's say you hop on a call and they say, hey, where are you guys looking to implement automations? Our sales process, our onboarding, or our lead acquisition. Okay, cool. You start mapping those out and now you have a visualization, which means that you can see the process yourself because you mapped it out. So once you have them mapped out, then you can understand exactly how long it would take you to actually build it, how much you would price, what are the actual deliverables, so what are you actually building. Now, one more thing that this does when we're doing the audit call for the actual client is building trust. Because a lot of the actual relationship with the client, especially when you're selling high ticket B2B, B2B just means business to business. So my business servicing another person's business is trust. And so by hopping on a call with them for 1 to 2 hours, they spend more time with you, which means that you can actually educate them on a lot of things on that call, which means they have more trust in you, more likely to buy from you. Now you can get on to booking your proposal call. The proposal call can be just a 20-minute call. And between this and this, give yourself like 1 to 2 days, well, minimum really, to be able to draft an SOW. An SOW stands for Statement of Work. What it is a document on Google Docs, just keep it very simple, where it outlines, hey, here's the project overview, here's the actual deliverables, here's what we're doing for you, here's the project scope, price, timeline, and then you can add some legal stuff like confidentiality, outside of scope work, you can add some more stuff there. But the main thing is like telling them, hey, here's the project, here's the outcome, here's the deliverables, here's the price, here's the timeline. That's it. So here, of course, you want to justify the ROI and you want to close the deal. Now, to justify the ROI, you obviously want to price it in a way where it makes sense for them to be able to see the value. If you don't know what I'm talking about, check out this video up here where I show you how to price your automation services. And if they say yes on the call, you say, cool, they will sign the contract and they will pay on the actual call. Now, sometimes it's true that the actual business owner says, hey, I need to think about it. I need to talk to my wife, talk to my partner, to do all these things that they have to do before saying yes, which is where you would follow up. Now for B2B, because you are closing $4,000 to $6,000 or even $8,000 or $12,000 deals, you might want to schedule a follow, just an idea, you might want to schedule a follow-up with them, which means that if they say, I need to think about it, I need to talk to the wife, I need to talk to the actual part, usually it's a partner objection, which means that they need to talk to their team or they need to talk to whoever it is. Now, with that said, you want to schedule a follow-up with them. So you can say, okay, cool. What we can do is schedule a quick follow-up in the next 2 to 3 days. It can be like a 10-minute follow-up so they have something in mind. So you actually have a deadline instead of telling them, yeah, let me know over email and so on, because they'll never get back to you. And that's a fact. Trust me, I've been through it. Doesn't work. Don't do it. So I would definitely schedule a follow-up within the next 2 to 3 days. Say, hey, okay, let's schedule this quick follow-up on Thursday at 5 p.m. Does that work for you? Just quick 10 minutes. So then when the day comes, between the day that you have this call and the day of the follow-up, they needed to have made the decision. So you put some sort of, not pressure, but some urgency into like saying yes or no, because you don't want to find yourself having to send like 6, 7 follow-up emails, just guessing if they want to work with you or not. So very, very important here that for a general customs automation agency, the main thing is having this in place, the audit call. The audit call, again, is a way for us to map things out as a blueprint to see before implementing. Scope creep is by far one of the biggest problems that probably the biggest problem that you're going to have as an automation agency, keeping it general. And that's a 3-step sales process. Now, here we get to the productized offer agency, which is a 2-step sales process. This, for example, is if you're doing voice agents or a simple chatbot or an AI SDR, CRM setup packages, something that is tangible that you already know exactly where you're going to deliver before you deliver. So you know that a voice agent is a voice agent, whether it's inbound, whether it's lead reactivation, whether it's speed to lead, it's a voice agent. It's something that's somewhat of a product. Whereas the actual automation agency here, we don't really know exactly what they want until we hop on this call here. While here, of course, I mean, they obviously want a voice agent. There isn't like so much more that we can do with voice agents. It's just a voice agent. And so here again, we have ads, content, and outreach, which is the way that we get clients. And then with that, they book a call. If they don't show, then we obviously want to follow up with their phone number. So call them up, do the same thing here. And now we want to have a discovery call. The only thing here, of course, again, is to diagnose the business, understand the bottleneck, qualify the client. But most importantly, let's say you are doing a voice agent. So on the discovery call, you need to be able to ask the right questions to get the right answers to be able to justify the price that you're going to charge the client and show the value. And so right here, we obviously want to diagnose the business, which means that we want to understand exactly what they do and what they need. So for example, if we need to, if it's a dental clinic, we hop on a call, say, what's got you looking into voice agents, right? What is it that you guys need? We have a receptionist right now and okay, cool. How many hours does she work? How much is she getting paid? How many calls do you get? All these questions, so then later on, you're able to justify the price based on the value that you provide. And the outcome here is basically deciding if they want to move forward. Because we still need to hop on the call, it just depends, right? Because sometimes it is a one-call close. Because let's say for a chatbot, like you say, you have just one type of chatbot for one person solving one problem. There isn't much more that we have to do. There isn't some sort of proposal call. You already know exactly how long it's going to take, what you're going to do, and so on. And so in this case, you can just close them on the call itself, which we call a one-call close. For B2B, if you're doing these types of projects, it's not going to happen too often. You're mostly going to do 2-step sales process, but you could also have a solution targeting a specific person, one specific problem that you can close them on the call itself, which means that you say, hey, you hop on a call, understand what they need, give them a solution and let them pay and sign the contract on that call to be able to start the onboarding process. But if you're doing voice agents, for example, then you might want to understand more about their company, about how many calls they take, how many hours they do, what's the salary of the actual receptionist, how many leads they have in the CRM, all the things that you want to know based on what you're providing for the client before then going, assuming they're qualified, to the proposal call. The proposal call, again, the goal is just to present the solution, saying, hey, you have this problem, which is costing you this much money. We have the solution, which is going to save you or make you this much money. Here is the price. Here's how long it's going to take. And here's how it works. And obviously the outcome is yes, no, or follow up. So yes, say cool, sign the contract and pay on the call. As again, guys, if they say yes, don't send them the contract and send them the link to pay after 2 days, because clients they ghost you. That's the reality of it. That's business, right? Realize it. So don't make them pay after 2 days. Don't forget to send a payment link. Just do it on the call. Just do it on the call. Say, okay, cool. What I'll do here is I'll send over the payment link. So you'll see it in the chat right here. Feel free to take care of it. Whilst you do that, I can onboard you into our portal. I can do whatever it is. But we want to make sure that when they say yes, verbal agreement isn't enough for us to say we close the client. As soon as they pay, that's when we actually consider the client as a paid client. Obviously for the name paid client. So those two are the different types of sales processes, whether you have a custom automation agency, which is the one that we have, versus a more productized offer agency where we have one sort of solution for one customer solving one pain point, or you can solve a few different pain points in one way. So a lot of it is just keeping it simple. Don't overcomplicate it, but there's a few tips and tricks, like the fact that we need to have an audit call between the discovery and the proposal call. And here we want to make sure that we're asking the right questions on the discovery meeting to get enough data for us to make the proposal to show the value for the price that we're giving them. Now, if you want the full mirror board so you can use it as a resource to come back to this, you can check out the second link down below in my free school community. And if you're someone who wants to start and scale your AI automation agency, then do check out the first link down below, which is a one-to-one mentorship program where you get to work with me one-to-one to help you build your agency properly from day one. We have our last cohort until the end of the year, so make sure to check it out while the spots are still open. And now that you know the exact sales process for an AI agency, check out this video up here where I go through the full delivery process, which is everything that happens between the moment a client signs to the moment that we deliver the actual service for the client, With that being said, I hope you found value from this video, and I'll see you in the next one.